Hey, it's Claudia with Y100, and from a personal journey to better health to becoming a TikTok viral sensation, experience the life-changing health benefits of Mila Mi Amor. Providing supplements that support a healthy diet and active lifestyle, Mila Mi Amor's products are trusted by thousands of families, including mine. Learn more, read the reviews, and order now at milamiamor.com. That's MILAMIAMOR.com. Mila Mi Amor, cheers to a long, healthy life.
Summer. 'Tis the season of catching fish. Or not. Seeing how much miles you could put on your boots. And starting a campfire like it's no big deal. Because s'mores. Longer days mean sticks to whittle, tents to stake, hooks to unhook, sunsets to toast to. And while Leatherman multi-tools can't help with mosquitoes, yet, they do help you outsmart the outdoors. Visit Leatherman.com to get yours.
Back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankle.
Throws. It is caught. Touchdown!
Drops back to goal. It's picked up. Touchdown!
Second snap. Under pressure. Ball is through.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
From the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Mean Gene.
Yes, and Jacob Meadows and AJ. That's right, we're here, hour number 2, Sunday. Sundays are going to be just pretty much like the opening of this show. Jump around. We're going to be jumping around with these live scores because this is our last prep show. Mm-hmm. This is our final preseason show.
That is correct.
Okay, so we got to bring the heat. Things are going to change drastically on this show, because there's going to be some trash talking. There's going to be I told you so's and all of that stuff. And, hey, you can tune to the Coach's Quarter and listen to all the stuff. Because, see, we're different when we're not in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. We really being
very different.
Now. Yeah, our shows get kind of lit. So Jacob will be doing his weekly prediction of NFL games. You can catch myself and Dustin Pfeiffer on the Sports King show. We will be doing our NFL countdown show. We've been doing this show for 20-something years, and I think last year I got Dustin pretty good.
You did.
I won at least 70% of my predictions from, prior to going into the season. But by the time we come here on Sundays to do this show, the Mean Gene Show here, you won't really know who I picked, because I'm going to be a winner come Sunday, regardless. So, because we're going to be talking the action and what's going on here. So, hey, that's going to be fun, folks. But, hey, second hour here, just in case you missed any part of the first hour, you can always go and get that on the Mean Gene Show, ESPN 97.5 Audio Boom. Is that right, AJ? That's where you can just go and get the podcast, listen to the show. This hour, we will get into some NFL news and updates. Roster cuts once again. The final 53-man roster will take place on Tuesday. And look at the waiver wire, just like you would do in fantasy football, because those players, it works pretty much the same. One man's trash is
another man's treasure.
Yeah, so that's I hate to kind of put it that way, but that's kind of really the way it is, right?
That's and diamond in a rough.
I mean, that's the way it is, right? So. And then we are going to also cover, we got some fantasy football tips for you, because I did complete my third fantasy football draft today while driving to the show. We call it DWD, and I did it. It's done. I didn't hurt anybody. Jacob held on to the handrails in the car. We didn't.
Everybody, please drive responsibly. Drive responsibly. Don't draft for your fantasy league while driving.
Do not do that. And I'm glad I'm done with it. But I do like who I selected.
Team ended up good.
I got a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I got Jamar Chase for the second time in the draft. I got Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
I got Evan Ingram.
You did?
And I'm trying not to grab my phone. I'm trying to remember all of this. But Zamir White.
You did end up getting Zamir White.
Yeah, I think I did. I got Tony Pollard, too, in that.
I thought you got no. Somebody else got Tony Pollard. You wanted Tony Pollard.
Is that what it was?
Swooped him out from under
so
you.
So
yeah,
basically lying on air now.
Lying on air.
I didn't get Tony Pollard.
He was pulled like two people before you.
I got David Montgomery and I got Devontae Adams. I got Waddle. I got a good AJ. You like that team?
Yeah, that's a pretty good team. You got Jamar Chase, Devontae, Jalen Waddle, Jonathan Taylor. Yeah,
Waddle fell to like
Thank
the
you.
8th round for him. It's ridiculous, dude.
That's crazy.
I got
That is
Fairbairn as my kicker. And guess what defense I'm rolling with? The Texans.
Oh, okay, Texans.
Nobody's going to
so-
take the Cowboys defense.
So, look, and I'm already projected to win my first game. This is going to be indicative of the whole season.
It's not.
Yeah, and I got Tua Loa as my quarterback. You like that? And on my bench, I have Gabe Davis, Cole Kmet, and I have Jerome Ford. And I had to do something with Deshaun Watson, so I had to. That's just too much damn money to just leave him out there and not draft him. He's gonna have to.
He's gonna have. He needs to have a good year.
He's gonna have to do something.
He'll never play another down in the NFL if he gets cut after this season and doesn't
Cleveland
produce
will try
anything.
to get out of that
Because this is their final year with guaranteed money, so they can wiggle out from under his contract.
And believe me,
after
they
this
will. That's gonna probably be breaking news at some point during the season if he doesn't get out there. And then I got the tight end for the Titans. I can't never pronounce his name.
Aquankwo?
Yeah,
Aquankwo?
Yeah. You know they give us these things to pronounce it the right way. I haven't looked at it yet.
The little cards.
I do butcher up names if I don't forget them. I usually forget them.
I
Probably
do as well.
better to forget the name than to butcher the name up.
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, but we are going to be talking NFC West. We just did the East, and if you missed that, I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning the NFC East. I have the Dallas Cowboys finished in second. I have the Washington Commanders in third. And I have the New York Giants, who are just going to suck it up. Giants fans, you better hope the Jets do well. And it's okay. Jump ship, because at least you get two teams in New York to choose from.
At least you don't have to
you
drive
go
any
with the
further.
Jets, because they're going to be better than the Giants.
They've got to be. There's no way Gangrene's worse. It's going to be a rough year for the Giants and all of their fans.
Yeah, look, and if the Jets suck, because there was one year when the Giants and the Jets both sucked. I don't think they won like 10 games between the both of them.
It sounds like a lot of years
I've never
recently.
seen so many people jumping in the Hudson River.
Yeah, right.
Because I mean, it's just something. Well, so the NFC West is going to be interesting because we have a Super Bowl participant that was in, the Super Bowl, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. We'll talk about them, and we also get you caught up on is that a run back? Is that a kickoff? Oh no, that's the highlight there. So we're watching the Titans and the
Saints.
The Saints here, final preseason game here, which is a back and forth game here. But anyway, we're talking about Brandon Ayuk. Not as bad as a situation as the CeeDee Lamb Dallas situation is, but you're talking about two polarizing wide receivers.
Yeah.
And for fantasy football owners, it's just a nightmare. You don't know what to do.
You don't know where he's going to go because Ayuk's he's not the number one de facto receiver for the 49ers. So the 49ers, unlike the Cowboys, can afford to kind of play ball with him for a little bit longer just because they have more on the team around him that can produce. They have Christian McCaffrey, they have Debo. Like they have other talent. I do think that this Ayuk situation, of the two, between him and CeeDee, I think that the 49ers are able to hammer out this deal. I think Kyle Shanahan and the offense wants him there. I think he wants
the trades. Cleveland was an option. The Steelers maybe was an option.
The Patriots offered to break the bank for him. I
don't know what happened
last show. Well, he came out and said he didn't want to play for the Patriots or the Browns.
Play for a winning team.
Exclusively. Yeah, he did not want to play for the Patriots or the Browns.
And I get that. And anyway, I mean, they were going to give him his money, though, so I don't know. So maybe he wants to play for a winning team. Well, guess what? He's already on
a winning team. Yeah.
So somehow the 49ers need to figure this out and try to get it done. But anyway, we can kind of get into some of the news that's happening out there in the NFL, and that is Zay Jones. The commissioner basically handed out suspensions, whatever you did in the summer, off season, that, if you get in trouble with the law, it's going to have some sort of impact. This also impact fantasy football players, too, because you got Zay Jones, the wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals, suspended for 5 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy, which is going to hurt.
And this was a guy that was coming off of a good year. He's coming off of a couple of good years. He's played for the Jaguars, and he looked pretty good, and all things considered. And then you come in and you have these allegations against you, and there's no sense on commenting on it one way or the other until more facts come out. He did something, yeah.
In order to get a 5-game suspension, which
a 5-game is a pretty hard one to get to. Normally they slap you with a 1 to 4, and he got a 5, so it's got to be something serious.
It's something serious. And then we also have the Los Angeles Rams. They're going to be without their starting left tackle, Alaric Jackson, to open the season. And the league announced that he would be suspended for 2 games for violating the NFL personal conduct policy. So now he'll be eligible for reinstatement week 2 of the NFL season. So, it just any type of a suspension is rough on a team. Now, one name that we have not mentioned, and that is the wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Rashee Rice. Yeah, yes. Who we all know what he did. And I think because it's still a pending investigation, perhaps, was shocked that his name, and it still could happen, but
it's coming.
It's coming. He will be suspended for a number of games with the Chiefs, and remember the Chiefs. They pick up Hollywood Brown, right? Because I think
who's hurt now?
Who's hurt? By the way.
Hollywood Brown got hurt, so
and
now
the Chiefs are going to be hurt because at one point in time of the year, wide receivers couldn't catch a cold.
Well, they're just going to be in the same position they were last year, where they had to find new ways to win,
and they found a way.
And they find a way every time. But
it's called behind the back passes from
Travis Kelce. Got to have Xavier Worthy catching nothing but bombs. Still have 100 yards.
That guy might end up being the standout guy.
He's the new Ty Hill. They drafted him to become the new Ty Hill.
Yeah, especially so. And that's just a pending suspension that everybody knows is coming. And I think the Chiefs were proactive in getting Hollywood Brown and getting the Worthy kid. So because it's a matter of
time, not if.
When, not if.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just some of the news that's going on in and around the league. And I believe next segment for all you fantasy football players out there, and look, I'd like to hear from you. Okay, you're more than welcome to call the show if you haven't done your draft yet. If you have, tell us who you have. Who 713-780-3776. We can get into it here in this next segment here on just some of the players, some of the top players out there, and maybe some of the do's and don'ts. Okay, so you're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here with Jacob Meadows on 97.5 ESPN.
Now back to Mean Gene, broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios.
All right, we are back once again, moving right along here. We are on an early start here to this Sunday, and that is because of the ESPN coverage, Astros and Orioles. Baseball's getting ready to make that final push there. You know what I saw on TV yesterday, Jacob?
What's that?
College football.
Oh, my, isn't it magical? It feels so good having college football back.
That's when fall is coming, even though the temperatures outside will not give you any indication that that's true. But it's coming though.
And did you watch the Georgia Tech game? Georgia Tech and Florida State?
I did.
Oh, what a game. Number 10.
Over in Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a start to college football than to have the number 10 team in the nation fall to an unranked Georgia Tech, because that's what the playoff committee envisioned.
Well, look here,
all this started.
And look here, and I know this is an NFL show, but that doesn't mean we are going to totally ignore some of the things that happens in college football, especially when we come in here on a Sunday and you had a magical college football Saturday night. We definitely got to get into some of that. But, yeah, it's good to see that. And there was like 4 nationally televised college football games on yesterday. And, of course, next week as we get into the Labor Day weekend, that's when it hits the fan. So,
boy, it's going to be a good season. Yeah. It's going to be a good year of football for all parties involved.
They always get to start first before the big boys, which – perfect timing. You get your last week of NFL preseason. You go directly on into college football. And remember, 12 teams that make the playoffs this year? Did they move to the 12?
No, it's 12. It's 12.
It's 12.
12-team playoff.
Oh, so amazing.
God,
you got teams like Liberty,
Liberty, Cincinnati's going to have a shot
last year. Yeah. And on any given, it'll be nothing like a NC2A basketball tournament upset. But you might see some shockers, and I hope it works out that way.
With all the, Saban leaving and all the things of that nature, we may see less SEC teams. It wouldn't even be – Georgia's probably a shoe-in. But beyond Georgia, the SEC is just a crapshoot with A&M. UT's finally – UT's good again.
What about the Big Ten? Some of those big Pac-12 schools that abandoned ship now. And it's going to be crazy, some of the matchups when you see USC and those teams. And never thought I'd see that.
No, not at all. It's going to be a
unreal.
crazy season.
So I'll be watching it. We may not be talking about it much on an NFL show like this one, but we certainly will be keeping our eye on it. So look, one of the things that happens after you complete your fantasy football draft, and in some leagues, they give you a grade. Mm-hmm. So when we conducted our fantasy football show here, was it last week?
Last week, yeah.
We did it. It's the Sports Kings League, which Jacob won, by the way. And it's a paying league. So, there's money at the end of this. Some leagues do it for fun, but we actually have, an investment in this. But they give you a letter grade, which is all based on it's a computerized grade
based on
that
talent.
Spits out to you what you did. Jacob what'd you get?
Got a D-. You
got a D-.
Returning champ got a D-. Yeah.
And I get an F. I got an F on mine, and I'm also scheduled to get my ass whipped in game 1 of the season. So, look, it's just a grade. So you might get that out there, you fantasy guys. Look, go make your picks. The computer don't mean anything.
The grades don't matter.
I have won fantasy leagues with, I don't know if I ever got an F, though, but I had a D grade, and I still won my league. AJ, you put any emphasis on that when they grade you like that? Are you worried at all about an F?
Sometimes it holds true, but a lot of times I think it's just I wouldn't pay too much attention to it because, if you know the personnel that you have is pretty good, that's what matters most. And then some people that you have, that are sleepers that end up having a huge season, that's all it takes.
You can't project a sleeper, right? That's why there's this.
But if your league tells you that you suck, your team sucks before you get the letter grade, that's probably an indication that you're not going to do well.
Where you finished last season, they let you draft real high again this year, and I have a feeling that your F's going to turn into a solid B+ by the end of the season with the talent you have on your team.
And we all get caught up in the same thing when it comes up in fantasy football because, you got quarterbacks that were hurt last year coming back. You got running backs now that really, back in the day, I had Brian Westbrook one year, and that guy was just running all over the place. At one time, running backs used to rule fantasy football. That's not the case.
Before it was a pass-heavy league.
Yeah. Now, if you got a good quarterback that can chunk 300 yards a week, and we've seen that from the likes of Aaron Rodgers, although he's 40 years old. You're seeing it with Tua, who passed for over 4,000 yards. You look for some of those 4,000-yard passers, and you pair them up with some wide receivers that are just doing magical things, but it's never the same. That's what I like about each year. It's a different beast. You don't know. You got holdouts, like we said. You got 2 good wide receivers that are holding out right now.
Yeah.
And that could, if CeeDee Lamb doesn't play until week 4, remember, he's got to get in game shape.
That changes things for you, right? It changes things. You got to take him in the first round. It's the only round that he's going to go.
You got to take him. I decided not to take him today because, you want to start out strong.
Yeah, you want to win your games. Yeah, right. There's no telling when he comes back.
And just like, and then on the opposite end of that with Nick Chubb, everyone saw what he was doing. He was about to terrorize the running back position before he went down, but now he's coming back at some point.
Yep.
Okay, what you say? He's squatting
sooner rather than later.
pounds?
Yeah, they posted that video. He squatted like 580 pounds the other day, and he is doing well in his recovery. They've just said that he's got a little ways left to go, so a couple more weeks of TLC rehab. But
some of these things, and I guess what I'm trying to say here, because I last year in one league where I did win the championship, started out horrible, finished strong. And sometimes it was like having a Nick Chubb or somebody come back from an injury and kill it, or finding a hot rookie wide receiver like in Reed last year with the
Packers.
With the Packers. So you just don't know. But So, but it's always good to finish strong. If you get off to a 4-0 start, man, you're in the driver's seat for making the playoffs.
Yeah, and it is nice not having to buckle up every week hoping for that 5-point victory just to keep you on the edge of contention.
But don't you hate those win-loss? Find yourself
man.
at 500, and you know the next 6 or 7 games are so critical.
It's just stressful. It's all so stressful whenever you get to that point.
But I'm going to tell you this, and AJ, I want to get your thoughts on this. There's nothing like, waiting till Monday night and find out that you lose by like a smallest of a percentage point.
Yeah, that always hurts. I don't think that's happened to me, but like just seeing it from social media and like some people.
Me.
For real?
Like when the quarterback takes the knee at the end of the game.
Oh, my God.
And you lose that one run yard.
Oh, yeah, that has happened.
That is gross.
I think I did it. It might have been Dustin last year in our league. I won. It was like by 0.08 points that came out on top.
When you or when they slide, when the quarterback slides and, you just keep going. You need
5 more.
Yeah, I mean, but this is what makes fantasy football so fun. But anyway, great players out there. Look, it's a wide receiver league. I can tell you that. One of my strategies is to try to draft that best wide receiver. And in my auto draft today, it was CD Lamb at the time.
Yeah.
And
with no contract disputes, it's a good pickup.
I had to abort that pick because I didn't feel right. But one guy, and he's probably going to be the most overdrafted guy, I think, and that's going to be based on because the prognosticators are telling you to take him, and that's McCaffrey, who I think, man, you can just run a guy in the ground after a while.
Yep, and I'm glad you brought it up. I've drafted in 2 leagues so far, 2 out of the 3. I've got Christian McCaffrey starting at running back in 2 out of my 3 leagues so far, as he fell to the second pick in your league. So I took him live on air, and then I accidentally auto-drafted the first pick in my personal league, and I got him there. And honestly, he's the one superstar that I do believe might not play every game this season because of wear and tear. He got used and abused in Carolina. He hasn't missed much time with the 49ers, but he's been hurt all preseason. It's a soft tissue injury, which can nag you. He could be fine for 8 weeks and then miss the last 9. So it's going to be CMC is definitely a risky pick.
You don't
for
know
the
when
top
to pick
pick.
where to pick your poison because Tyreek Hill, who just was lights out, man, for the first several weeks, for the majority of the season. But then again, he has to share with Waddle.
Jalen Waddle. Yeah.
Which, is good if you got Tua, because Tua is just going to be throwing, 300-400-yard games left and right.
Prayers left and right.
So you want that type of quarterback there. But also, Tyreek Hill hurt me in the playoffs when he was hurt in the playoffs.
And couldn't suit up.
And tried to play, remember, in that one game. So it's always a mixed bag of nuts there because you don't know when it's going to happen. That's why every round of your draft is important.
Yeah.
That you need to think about the what ifs. What if this quarterback goes down? What if this wide receiver is not available? And it's a wide receiver, in my opinion, it's a wide receivers league.
Yeah. I mean, I do like to take a running back in the first round because they can catch and run the ball. And most wide receivers outside of Ty Hill don't take very many end rounds. But, yeah, it's a wide receiver. It's a pass-happy league. And wide receivers are your bread and butter. It's where you make all of your points up at.
And if you're, a Justin Jefferson fan there, because he's done well, you got to remember who made Justin Jefferson do well, and that was Kirk Cousins for the most part. He's not going to be throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson. It's going to be maybe Sam, I can't believe I'm still in the league, Donald.
That's out there seeing ghosts, man. Yeah.
Sam, this is my, 4th team, Donald. And I was at the draft in Dallas when he got drafted.
Really?
Him and Saquon the same year. So we sitting there, interviewing this guy. And I'm sitting there, with my microphone and in my hand, and I there was a question I wanted to ask. I didn't because I heard this response to the previous question, and I said, what, I'm just going to leave this alone. This is another USC quarterback that I just don't think is going to be good, and so I'm just and there I was right. Unfortunately, I love USC, but man, if you draft Justin Jefferson, you have to consider who's going to be throwing him the ball.
You just have to hope he pulls a Devontae Adams, right? Tay Adams has gone over 1,000 yards the last couple of seasons. Didn't matter who was throwing him the ball. You're going to want to not matter whether it's Sam Darnold or anybody else launching that ball to him that hopefully he's going to catch.
You mentioned that because I do have Devontae Adams, and the Raiders couldn't make up their mind. Who they still have yet to make up their mind, right? Who's going to be the starting quarterback? Is it
correct?
Is it
no, they named Minshew. Yeah.
Did they name Minshew?
So it is Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all saw it coming.
Well, and Minshew shows signs that he can throw that ball, but
he's a good quarterback. Yeah,
I'm okay with that. So okay, well, look, that's fantasy football. Okay, we try to give you some good advice. Of course, if you want to share some of your strategies or your draft, we certainly like to hear it at 713-780-3776. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to get into the NFC West with Jacob Meadows and Mean Gene here on the Mean Gene Show, 97.5 ESPN.
You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right. Getting you ready for NFL, of course, NFL football regular season kicks off September 5th. That is going to be a Thursday night, and it's going to feature the defending Super Bowl champions, back-to-back Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Baltimore Ravens. So, man, the NFL don't play around. This is a marketable game. They know it. I kind of like this format, Jacob, where you just get right into the action, and then we have a rare Friday night football game in Brazil. Are you going to that game?
I am. Yeah, I'll be. No, I'm not. That is cool. It's cool that they've opened up into a new market. I like this whole push by the NFL to get into as many foreign markets as they can. It's kind of cool that Brazil.
I don't think those fans are like football. I mean, some of them they do an educational thing there.
Yeah,
where, like an NFL experience type thing to get the fans,
so they know what's going on.
To get I mean, believe me, that's how they do it. Else they'd be sitting there like going,
"Yep,
like what's going on here." But, hey, we're talking NFC West here, this at the bottom of the hour here, second hour here on the Mean Gene Show. So let's go with the order of finish like we did pretty much for the NFC East there. Okay. The Arizona Cardinals, 4-13 last year. Just historically, this Cardinals team, they have not finished first place. I believe it was 2015 was the last time they finished, and they were 13-3.
The cards were also stacked against them a little bit last season. You have the new coach coming in. You have Gannon taking over the DC for the Philadelphia Eagles. Stepped in. He took over that offense. Kyler goes down with an injury.
After they fired Cliff.
Yeah, they fired Cliff Kingsbury. Yeah. They bring Gannon in. And it's a completely different. It's a culture shock, is what it seemed like for the team. They were playing as best they could. They had the Josh Dobbs. They brought in Josh Dobbs, who gave them their best chance at winning.
I know.
They were competitive in games that they were expected to get blown out in.
The rocket scientist.
Correct. Yeah. The dude who's too smart to be in the NFL, and he's out there throwing passes on everybody. Yeah. So I mean, they had the cards stacked up against them a little bit last year, but yeah, they've been underachievers for the last, 2015? So for the last 10 years.
Yeah, that was the last. Look, because they finished dead last in 2022 also.
Yeah.
Okay, with the same identical 4-13 record. The 2021 season, they finished with an 11-6 record, which gave them hope. And I think, was that Kyler Murray's first year?
Yeah, that was when he entered the league and set everybody on fire. Yeah.
So and then things dropped. As soon as they told him that he had to do homework, then they went down.
Had to stop playing Call of Duty and had to start watching film.
4-13. He's like, we don't have time for that. But look. So I don't know. I would, and we're not going to make our picks right now as far as this division. But look, I don't see. It's a change at the helm. Anytime these young quarterbacks experience that kind of turnover, meaning from just personnel turnover. So now you got Kyler Murray working with his, third, maybe fourth, third or fourth?
Third.
Yeah, third. That does – that
It makes it more difficult.
It does.
You're learning a totally new offense. Yeah.
It does. So, I mean, that's going to be strange. So now the Seattle Seahawks, who finished 9-8 last year, man, how they pulled off a winning record still. And it was not enough to save Pete Carroll's job.
No.
And this is really, they fell off. Look, in 2020, that team was 12-4. They won the NFC West. And they haven't done 2021. They go from first to worst, which, go figure, 12-4 1 year, 7-10, and then they come back. So this is this back-to-back 9-8 seasons. But Geno Smith gave them something that no one expected.
Yeah, Geno played over the level that he's played prior. I mean, he looked like the Geno that came to the Jets and was just eager to make a difference, and he looked great for Seattle. I mean, naturally he had his hiccups here and there, but Geno played good ball. He developed great chemistry with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. They had a decent run game with all the various running backs, including Kenneth Walker, who they have now. Geno gave them a breath that I don't think that they expected to get out of Geno, and he's been a great bridge player up until this point. So I do think that they have a better season this year than they had last. I will give them that. I think Geno's going to be able to put together a bit of a better resume this season, only because their offensive line is getting healthier. They've added a couple of pieces here and there. And although Pete Carroll had to step away, he's still part of football operations with the Seahawks. So I think this is going to be a good positive year for the Seahawks.
And then we look at the Rams, who finished the season 10-7. Good enough for second place there. And it's, you get Matthew Stafford, who can forget, they get to the Super Bowl. And the year after that Super Bowl, it's like, what the hell happened? They open up the season and Buffalo just beat the brakes off. Like what happened? And then they were never the same after that, Super Bowl year. They haven't been the same, but they did get better. That was 2021, right? When they were, and then they go from 12-5 to 5-12. Go figure, right?
That's the natural run of things, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy when you see that, and here, of course.
They lost Aaron Donald this offseason. Aaron Donald retired.
He finally, and they knew that was going to be happening.
Yeah.
They experiment with a couple different running backs, man. It has not been any consistency at the running back position for the Rams at all.
No, not. And you wonder if they're missing Cam Akers right now, who's running like crazy for the Houston Texans. It's starting to look like Cam Akers never should have been released by the Rams at all, because the guy, Kerryon Williams, that they have there right now, or they have pegged as the RB1 for him right now, has not looked great. He's been very inconsistent. He had some games last year where he was a dog. He had a couple of games last season where he went off, but it hasn't been consistent by any means. And you wonder if the Rams are going to miss that second head of the 1-2 in Cam Akers.
Well, I mean, I give it to them the fact that last year they were able to kind of get through, even with the injuries they had. They started out 3-6, which was not bad, but then they went on a 7-1. They were 7-1 in their last 8 games. So I don't know. I don't know. 10-7. Lost they lost the wild card to the Detroit Lions, right? Which everyone understands that.
Played a good game too. Almost didn't lose that game to the Detroit Lions. Yeah. Detroit won it in the end. They were competitive.
You got Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Aaron Donald, Pro Bowlers, right? This team is still a threat, okay? And of course, Sean McVay, who is still, one of the
top 10 head coaches in the league, no matter how.
He's one of the youngest coaches.
Yeah.
So, and we'll see. We'll talk about where we think they're going to, finish here. But they're always a threat. Matthew Stafford, we talked about this on the way riding down here, how this guy who, all those years in Detroit, all those chunks of yardage that what is he? He's probably over 16,000 yards. I mean, I'm just guessing. Seen any stats to support that. I'm just looking at his career and his body of work.
Just did so much with so little for so long in Detroit.
You know what was weird was seeing Calvin Johnson, a couple of years ago when I was at his Hall of Fame induction, and he just retired, and Matthew Stafford was part of those numbers that put him in the Hall of Fame.
A large chunk, yeah.
So it's just weird to see you like, wow, here's Stafford, still throwing the ball. Finally gets the Super Bowl.
Had to leave Detroit. Finally got the Super Bowl.
Had to leave. So the Rams are always exciting to talk about. And then you got the 49ers, which the 49ers, they win the division in 2022 with a 13-4 record, win it last year with a 12-5 record, get to the Super Bowl. And, of course, for some reason, they just struggle when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just kind of
just like
tough.
Everybody else.
Yeah, it's just tough for them to beat the Chiefs, but they also now have other issues, and that is after returning from winning the NFC West and being the defending NFC champions. Now they come into the season not knowing if they're going to have one of their top wide receivers.
Yeah, well, CMC's hurt too. Not only do they not know if they're going to have Brandon Ayuk for the entire year, CMC's hurt.
60% of the offense.
Yeah, that is literally. Yeah, that is 60% of the offense.
I would say.
At least they have George Kittle, who, not to ruffle any feathers, but I believe is the best tight end in the league. Right, George Kittle's the best all-around product at tight end that the NFL has to offer. Debo's the best gadget player. Pretty sure we've seen in my lifetime. He can do everything. The offensive line is still good. Brock Purdy is still good. That defense somehow never gets worse. They could lose any name on that defense. It doesn't matter. Whoever they replace them with tomorrow is going to be a bigger name for less money. That's been their bread and butter for years now, since DeMeco Ryans was their DC. So the 49ers are just they're so good. They're so good at turning over from adversity. But this will be a good make or break year for Kyle Shanahan, don't you think? Because eventually he's going to have to do a little bit more, right?
Well, look, I mean, you look at the 12-5 record, but man, things were so tight last year with them, even in the finish. So look, they get to the division, the playoffs. They almost lose to the Packers. It's a 3-point game, 24-21. They get to the NFC Championship game, they almost lose to the Lions, right? 34-31. Then they get to the Super Bowl, they go to overtime, and they lose what? Another 3 points.
Yep.
Right? So, they could have gotten beat by the Packers, who should have won that game.
Correct.
I think a lot of people still feel the Packers should have won that game. So I don't know, and I always talk about that window of opportunity where you see it right there, how close it was. And then just like we said about the Dallas Cowboys, we're here, the 49ers now, they have their holdout situations there, and Brandon Ayuk was a big part of that. And look, they're going to also have a quarterback situation here because they're going to have to pay Brock Purdy.
They're going to have to break him off.
At some point, that's going to be an issue.
That money's got to come from somewhere, and I doubt the salary cap's rising enough to make all of it work. So I think
he's got all the resume to go in there and demand his meal ticket for the rest of his life.
Maybe. I mean, he was put on a staff. Do you pay Brock Purdy $40, $50 million a year? If you're running the 49ers organization, do you think he brings you enough value?
Market. 40 he would be grossly underpaid.
Yeah, that's valid.
I mean, when you look at this market here, we just, it's the 50 million mark.
So you have the salary kit. You have a.
Yeah, I tell you what. Who you thought?
Yeah,
just hold that thought. I tell you what. When we come back, folks, we are going to get more into the NFC West, including our predictions here on the Mean Gene Show, ESPN 97.5.
ESPN. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
For the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Mean Gene.
All right. Final segment of the Mean Gene Show here on this early Sunday after this broadcast of the show. We came on 3 o'clock. We're going to leave here at 5 to make room for the Houston Astros and the Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Major League Baseball. We're talking NFC West, and we basically kind of gave you a history of how things, finished the for the season last year.
Yeah.
For the NFC West, the 49ers are still, pretty much the favorite here. They've won the NFC West now. I think it's 2 years, but back-to-back years, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So this is I don't see much of a drop off. But there is an exception here, which we just kind of gave you a little bit of their history as far as last year, just in the playoffs, how tight it was. Mm-hmm. Every game was so tight for such a dominant team there. And then now they come into the year. It just seems like the wide receiver position is Minnesota took care of theirs, and some of the other teams have paid their wide receivers. But, it seems like Dallas and the 49ers here, Brandon Ayuk, who is looking for more money. He knows he's a critical part of the offense. Mm-hmm. And things have gotten ugly at sometimes because even no matter what we hear out of Dallas, we have heard nothing nowhere near the conversation of CeeDee Lamb asking for a trade. No. It's just a serious holdout. Mm-hmm. But Brandon Ayuk has actually
publicly demanded a trade.
Trade, and it looked like there were some suitors with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns,
and the New England Patriots.
But what are his numbers? I mean, what makes him think he deserves this kind of money or whatever kind of money he's asking for?
Well, not even doing his entire career with the 49ers, and I just clicked something that I shouldn't have clicked. Last season alone, he had 75 receptions on 105 targets for 1,342 yards, 7 touchdowns, and an average of 17.9 yards per catch. So he has the numbers to justify a contract. It's just more or less finding a team that A, has the cap room to bring him in and pay him what he wants, and then B, also have the capacity to win games, because you can get rid of whomever you want on a roster, bring Ayuk in, but you have to have the talent around him for it to matter, right? You can go anywhere. He could go to the Jets. They could trade him for Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, right? Just for a complete hypothetical. They could trade him there. He could make all the money in the world with the Jets, and then they'll win 0 games. There's not enough talent outside of Ayuk to actually make a difference. So that you have to be able to find a team that can afford him and then also have the capacity to win, which is what the 49ers have. But I think he wants too much money, and kind of like how we were talking in the last segment, Brock Purdy's going to have to be paid soon. So I think they're more
they're going to have the same type of Dallas Cowboy problem.
Correct. Yeah, they're having a futures problem where they're trying to think of how they can make the years and the money work so that they're not left out for dead with both of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, he's been a critical part of the team. We talked about last year's run before, losing to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and the close games in the NFC Championship against the Lions and the Packers. But take it back to 2022 when the team was 13-4 and his impact on, they won a wild card game against the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Then they beat they beat the Cowboys in that divisional playoff game.
It's all good because they still haven't won. They haven't won a Super Bowl. It's been longer for them to win a Super Bowl since Cowboys have. So.
It's been a while. Yep. You're right. And then they lose to the Eagles in that NFC Championship game. So, look, here's the thing, are they – look, they can't even get out of their conference. Look, a lot of people know and feel that the Lions should have won that game last year. But Brandon Ayuk is critical is what I'm trying to say. He's been part of the Brock Purdy maturation, if I can say that.
And Brock Purdy seems to have a better connection with Ayuk than he does with Debo. There will be people that disagree with that, but he has a much better connection with Ayuk.
He finds this guy in the most when you need to find Ayuk. Yep. He's been there for Brock Purdy. So I think, if I'm the 49ers, I got to think, look here, man, we struggle with the Eagles. We struggle, with the Lions. You still got to get out of the NFC. And it just looked like, man, you don't really need this going into it. So, having said all of that, do you still find them to be strong enough to win the NFC West?
Yeah. Until dethroned, they're going to sit at the top because they have all the talent. Like I said before, the 49ers have all the talent. Their defense is stacked. They have more skill. They have more stars on offense than any other team in the NFC. Just people that sell jerseys, right? Jersey numbers, your merch sales. They have more stars than any other team in the NFC. So until they've been dethroned, the 49ers should be considered the best team in the division, I would say.
Well, all right, it's time to make the NFC West predictions. So we'll go from first to worst on this one. So 49ers, I figure should be, regardless of the Ayuk situation, is it critical? You got to have them. What about their running back situation?
I mean, I think
I know Debo was hurt for a little bit, so when Debo's not on the field, man, you scratch your head. You don't know if they're gonna win or lose.
Yeah, I don't even know who their backup running back is behind Siebes. Is it
Elijah Mitchell?
That's who I thought. Is it Elijah Mitchell?
That's what I thought. So anyway, I mean, I just know that they're gonna need, with players retiring and changing, zip codes and everything, they're just going to have to really come out and be dominant. And that's not, with Kyler Murray coming back and you got Marvin Harrison, they're going to play there's going to be some tough losses.
Hard division.
In their own division.
Yeah, that's a tough division.
With Geno, coming back and you see what these guys are doing in the preseason. It's going to be tough, and that division has always been tough.
It's one of the funnest divisions to watch, just because every team every year always has the ability to beat somebody else.
Those games are so much fun to watch. Whatever matchup you get,
dogfights every time.
NFC West is always good. So I got the 49ers still being strong enough to get that first place. I'm struggling with the second place because between the Rams and the Seahawks, I got to think that I'm going with the Rams to finish second place.
Yeah, I like that. It's going to be the same pick that I have for second. It's going to be the Rams.
And third place, I have to give it to Seattle. And, of course, last place, and who knows, man, Kyler Murray might have fun with Marvin Harrison Jr.
I think Arizona's the third place team. That'll be the only difference.
You got them third?
I have Arizona finishing third.
So you got Seattle finishing last?
Seattle in the cellar this year.
New coach now, first year with no Pete Carroll.
I think it'll be an adjustment period despite the talent that they have. I think there will be a small amount of fall off as they bring in this whole new scheme. Yeah, I'm giving Arizona. Kyler Murray's pissed off, man. He looked great at the end of last season. Came on strong after he came back from his injury. They got him a shiny new toy in Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that Arizona offense is going to shock some people, and that defense was better than it should have been last year already. So,
AJ, what you think about the the NFC West prediction?
I think it's a give. Well, for the most part, it should be a given that the 49ers should win, but I wouldn't be surprised, low-key, if the Rams, kind of dethrone them.
Shock them, dude.
Right, because injuries happen. We saw the Niners get hit with the injury bug a little bit. Of course, not wishing for that at all, but reality, exactly. Puka, right,
and then Stafford if he's healthy,
right, exactly. And then they also added Blake Corum, so that'll have some relief.
Oh yeah,
right. That Blake Corum's going to be good for the Rams,
right? Defensively, they drafted Jared Verse. Of course, you don't have Aaron Donald still, but they still have a solid unit.
Yeah, they could win the division.
Right, exactly.
They could win the division.
They could.
But I just think that the NFC. And I don't even want to, give away because we still got to pick the NFC North and South next week. But, man, I don't want to get caught looking ahead on where I'm going as far as the NFC matchup here. But it could be someone other than the 49ers coming out of there. And, it's tough. But like I said, I love watching this division play.
This division gives merit to the Any Given Sunday quote.
It really does. So, well, we are about to wrap things up. Next week is the NFC North and the NFC South, along with the entire prediction for the whole 2024 season. So you got your. We got to pick all the way to the Super Bowl.
I've got my picks pretty wrapped up. Yeah,
going to be in New Orleans, right? And we can't wait to get down there next year.
I'm so
February.
Excited. It's 7th, hop, skip, and a jump away.
10th. Oh yeah, just hit that highway. So don't forget, NFL kicks off September 5th, Chiefs and Ravens, and that's when it's just going to be fun. So, look, hope you enjoyed us coming on a little bit early. We're going to get on out of here. AJ, thanks, man. Jacob, we'll see Jacob back here next week. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday here as we get closer to the start of the NFL season here on the Mean Gene Show, 97.5 ESPN.
Claudia with Y100, and from a personal journey to better health to becoming a TikTok viral sensation, experience the life-changing health benefits of Mila Mi Amor. Providing supplements that support a healthy diet and active lifestyle, Mila Mi Amor's products are trusted by thousands of families, including mine. Learn more, read the reviews, and order now at milamiamor.com. That's MILAMIAMOR.com. Mila Mi Amor, cheers to a long, healthy life.
To everyone else, this is a task. But to you, it's a launch pad. Your starting block. This ain't a desk. This is opportunity.
Students who switch and save can get the Moto G 5G on us at your local Boost retailer.
The Boost mobile network includes roaming coverage from partner networks, which cover 99% of the U.S. population. Moto G 5G on us when you switch with ID verification and new $60 plan activation. Taxes extra. All prices, fees, features, functionality, and other offers are subject to change without notice. See participating dealers for details.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.